Hello and welcome back to the Darth Magog Channel. I'm your host, the Dark Lord of the Apostates, Darth Magog. Today I have something a little different from our usual fare. I was inspired by a viewer today who left a comment on our Stop The Shun campaign video. Let's call that viewer Jay. Jay has inspired me to write him a letter, where we will detail the issues behind the harm Jehovah's Witnesses do through their act of disfellowshipping. We would be honored if you would join us. Dear Jay, I hope this letter finds you well and the articles in it. We've had our ups and downs in the comment section, and I promise I don't mean anything personal by it. I'm sure you firmly believe in all the positivity the Christian congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses present. And I want you to know that we are not so different, you and I. I really loved what I thought the organization stood for and what it presents as on the surface. But there are a lot of things we need to talk about. I hate to tell you, but your brothers and sisters do ignore their non-Jehovah's Witness family. It's there in the watchtowers. Let's talk about God's love. The ironically titled, Keep Yourselves in God's Love book, has a section in the appendix about it, treating disfellowshipped people. Because apparently the fruitage of the Spirit doesn't apply to the disfellowshipped. Jehovah's Witnesses are ordered explicitly not even to use the word hello to a disfellowshipped former member.
A simple hello to someone can be the first step that develops into a conversation and maybe even a friendship. Would we want to take that first step with a disfellowshipped person?
The same section in the appendix asks if ignoring and avoiding that person is actually necessary. And Watchtower, in no uncertain terms, gives an enthusiastic, resounding yes, claiming that loyalty and love are what motivates God to force his followers to ignore anyone who decides that they don't want to be Jehovah's Witnesses. Love is what motivates them to socially isolate already socially isolated people. Love motivates what is literally considered a violation in human rights by even imperfect human standards. And if regular humans have figured that out, but your Jehovah hasn't, how worthy of your love is he really, when he doesn't know how to treat people? Just food for thought. Jehovah's Witnesses never wants to leave an opportunity on the cutting room floor, also decided to bake this concept into several videos. The first is, loyally uphold Jehovah's judgments, shun unrepentant wrongdoers. Here, the video explicitly demonstrates a young woman being callously ignored by her family in the Kingdom Hall, the Jehovah's Witnesses' place of worship. But beyond that, the subject of our video is shown being ejected from her family home by her parents.
My father explained to me that I couldn't remain in the home because I refused to change my lifestyle. He told me I was having a negative effect on my younger brother and sister. Then I'm out of this house.
Furthermore, when this woman reaches out to her family in a show of good faith, she's looked over and ignored.
I missed being with my family. And they thought about reaching out to me. But they knew that if they had associated with me, even a little, just to check on me, that small dose of association might have satisfied me. It could have made me think that there was no need to return to Jehovah.
This isn't an isolated incident. In Maintain Loyalty with a Unified Heart, a similar scene plays out. Here instead, it is a young man who has left his family home and the congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. His understandably distraught parents elect not to reach out to him at first, though they hold out hope that they'll see him again. And at the first opportunity to contact their son, when he's initiated contact, both the parents choose to ignore him.
Then, as hard as the past few weeks had been, it just got harder. I knew what the Bible said about quit mixing in company with anyone who is not living according to Christian standards, but I never thought that scripture would one day apply to me.
Once the parents discussed this, they doubled down on their efforts, despite their own flesh-and-blood son extending an olive branch and proactively trying to mend bridges with his beloved parents. Because this impersonal, invisible, intangible Jehovah is more important to this family than the boy they birthed and raised that is trying to have a real, honest, open relationship with them. Shunning is one of the harshest ways to treat a human being. The Center of Disease Control recognizes the negative, physical, health impacts of the practice. Social isolation has been linked to increased cases of heart disease, diabetes, stroke, depression, anxiety, addiction, dementia, and even early death. Yes, Jehovah's Witnesses' loving provision of disfellowshipping literally kills. You need not look far to see the real physical results. The New York Post reports a former Jehovah's Witness woman who, in 2018, took her own life and the lives of her immediate family. Her friends outline the isolation that she experienced when she and her family decided not to be Jehovah's Witnesses anymore. Not for the purposes of drug use, wrongdoings, or sexual immorality, but simply to send her children to college. The National Library of Medicine has gathered more data on disfellowshipping in the witness community. They've learned how the witnesses are scared, shunned, and manipulated into either staying loyal or experiencing this life-threatening consequence.
It's in this level of complete and utter abandonment, so it's very shocking even to people who are very well adjusted, and witnesses are not well adjusted.
Now, my dad has had zero contact with me. My mother, on the other hand, in the 3 years that I've been out, I've probably spoken to her like 4 times. The very first time I went to her place, crying, because I just want you guys to talk to me. And then my mom was like, you know what you must do to come back.
I was scared to death to look at opposing viewpoints. I thought I was going to be taken over by Satan.
Witnesses are even discouraged from spending time with non-believing family members that were never Jehovah's Witnesses, and are ordered to ignore any negative information about their religion.
Did you look at those links that I sent you?
Mum, I want us to get together, but I won't hear anything negative about my beliefs.
Jay, I tell you this because I need to come clean. I've shunned too. As a young man, before I was a witness officially, I shunned too. I had a close friend who didn't do much wrong. He just had a girlfriend, and his congregation threw the book at him. They disfellowshipped this boy. He still had his parents, but any time I'd see him, he was in shadow. He was just on the periphery of everything and everyone. No one said a word to him. He was forced to go to every meeting, assembly, convention, and talk. And yet, no one would share a word with him. A literal child was treated like a disease, a plague, all because he liked a girl who liked him back. There were no assaults, no blasphemy, no violence, nothing. Jehovah's supposed love for this child was to have everyone who loved this child pretend he didn't exist at all. And I was one of them. I'll never be able to make that up to him. He lost out on years of love and support, and I stood by and did nothing, as you, Jay, also stand by and do nothing. There are thousands of other young men and women suffering the same fate. Jay, I don't expect you to change your mind or do anything different. I don't expect you to change your comments or subscribe to the channel or join the cause. I won't even fight you on Jehovah forcing the ultimatum of being in the right religion to avoid his hand of execution at Armageddon. But I do want to leave you with a question, and this applies to all Jehovah's Witnesses. If Jehovah's arrangement of disfellowshipping is so loving, then why does it do so much harm? Because to me, love doesn't harm, it heals. And there's nothing healing about social isolation through shunning. I apologize to my regular viewers. I know this isn't exactly what you like to see. I'll find a way to make it up to you in the coming weeks. In addition to the invitation I've given to current Jehovah's Witnesses, like our friend Jay that are watching, I want to hear what my XJW agents think of shunning. Whatever your thoughts may be, I look forward to reading them in the comments down below. Together, we will stop the shun. And remember, agents, the elders may be watching you, but Darth Magog is watching the Watchtower. Thank you.